What is going on, you space mother lovers? I'm Captain K, and in today's video, we're going to talk about Marauders. Specifically, we're going to answer all of these questions, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on the end. Without further ado, let's get right to it. This interview was a question and answers type format. Now, what I've done is I've taken all of the answers to the questions and rewritten them into a way that I can explain them to you, so you don't have to watch an hour-and-a-half broadcast to get this information.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So let's start off with the first question, which was, did the alpha population meet your expectations? Basically, the alpha was a big success and expanded beyond their hopes. There won't be another alpha. The beta will be the next playtest. So it looks like that teasing image that we saw on their Twitter was, well, just a tease. There's a lot of tweaking to be done for matchmaking. Further Steam integration needs to be done for a smoother experience. They got a lot of feedback from the early access, and they're going to use the large volumes of player data to make the experience for us better. When asked about VoIP, there aren't any plans to add in-game VoIP at this time. They want us to use the function keys for comms, although they will reevaluate this if the players want it enough. VoIP was a game changer for Tarkov. For the longest time, we used mumbles and using words like,
"What the hell is the matter with you?"
and
"Stop shooting friendlies, asshole!"
to communicate with one another. It was really made the game feel more flat and less dynamic and lifelike. So we're going to have to give them feedback and push them in that direction to add VoIP in game if we want to see it. Anyways, with the subject of stacking meds and or backpacks within backpacks, you couldn't do it in the alpha. The answer is that this is going to happen, but it's going to be its own specific feature. No stacking meds for now, but maybe if a item becomes less meta, they'll make it stackable to invite people to use them. So like, for example, how the bandages take up one slot, but they aren't really as good as medkits. So they might make it so that bandages can be stackable so people will be incentivized to use them. They also joked about adding a biscuit tin. If you recall, biscuits regenerate health in the game. So on the subject of looting and inventory management, they stated they don't want to introduce a control click loot option. They want the whole experience to take longer. They don't want healing to be hotkeyed either. They want it to be something you have to do in the inventory to slow down combat. Again, they want you to run to a corner, have to open up your screen, drag the biscuit over, get the health, go back into combat. They want to slow things down in that regard. There will be healing animations though. So on the subject of new content, they want to add more maps, more ways to progress through the contract system, and add more ways to use prestige points. They also want to add more ship variations with new boss fight opportunities. Apparently only 25% of the content is actually in the game. They also want larger maps in the game. The two that we have right now are going to be the smallest maps that will exist. Currently, we have no roadmap, but they're going to add this in the future. They didn't completely rule out wipes in the game cycle, but stated they'd be infrequent, and they want to push players to wipe their accounts via prestige points that are given when you prestige, and they want to make prestiging the most attractive option. In the alpha, when you prestiged, you would get extra inventory space, so they'll probably find new clever ways of enticing you to wipe all your progress. On the subject of expanding weapon selections to more modern or even futuristic weapons, the answer was the game will draw inspiration off of the Forgotten Weapons channel. The dieselpunk theme will be predominant. So apparently the dev team is the fan of Gun Jesus. Who knew? On the subject of weapon attachments, sights for long-range shots will be unique to a certain type of gun. They're currently plotting a scope for the SVT-40. They want to add torches on rifles, extended magazines, and extended barrel types for weapons. When it comes to durability of weapons, they aren't in favor of a 50% durability weapon being half accurate, like, for example, Tarkov. When the weapon hits 0 durability, it just won't work. They may make it so if you repair a weapon, it decreases the max durability of the weapon, and the mention of polishing weapons to make them feel and look jammed is planned. Mentioning combat, the idea of bullet tagging. So if you get hit with a bullet, your character slows down. They're considering this. They don't want to make you so slow that you're like in quicksand. The mention of a helmet getting cracked if it's hit was also mentioned for realism. The ability to run and walk at various rates of movement was discussed, and the devs were open to this idea. So in Escape from Tarkov, yes, I know I'm comparing the two, but they're really quite similar. You can go from full sprint to walking, creeping slowly, and there is a spectrum in between. This is the kind of thing that they're considering. On the subject of grenades, they said there won't be a hotkey ability. You would likely need more than one to kill. If they did add hotkeys and anything became spammy, they would remove the hotkey function in that situation. Now we're going on to one of my favorite bits in the interview. So if you see my previous content, you know I've done a lot of armor testing in Tarkov, and I like that kind of thing. There was a brief breakdown that explains how armor works in Marauders. Ready? First off, the armor system is inspired by PUBG. If you take notice of the damage dealt on the workbench, that is what the armor negates. What's left is what damage you take. For an example, headshot damage being multiplied by 3.5. If you wear a level 4 helmet and fire a round that does 24 damage, 20 damage gets removed, leaving 4, which is multiplied by 3.5x, and that gets you. Expanding further in combat, they have reworked gunplay to make it cleaner. The way recoil works, it's made to make the player feel every shot in a mag dump, rather than it blending together. As far as being on the ship, the idea of a turret inside your ship was mentioned. It's unclear if that'll make it in. The desire to make things for teammates to do more on the ship was expressed. Right now, at least with the Rust Bucket, you have the ability to cool the engines, fire the cannon, or actually take the helm. What about the fourth guy? What's he supposed to do? Nobody wants to be the fourth guy. In terms of balancing, they want heavy ships to still cost a lot, despite being difficult to acquire. The concept of how ship breaching came up, and the question was asked if the breaching mechanic will be skill-based someday and not press F for guaranteed breach. They want to make it so where you enter the ship after breach affects where you infiltrate, but randomly, so it isn't predictable. The question about female character models was brought up, to which it was explained that Marauders player models are supposed to be androgynous. They will revisit this in the future and clearly define this. There won't be skin that shows in game, and the characters' bodies will remain covered in a suit. And in regards to customization, they like the idea of crafting a specific style of armor. An example was the civilian helmet. They could craft a red version instead of a white version. They won't be using blue as a color scheme. That's red and green in this game, I guess. In terms of customizing the ship's appearance, they have plans for this and they want it in the beta, but no promises. And you know what that means? Soon, TM. When asked if they had any solutions in the pipeline for people sitting at max level, gear, money, all of that, and not prestiging, essentially crapping on all of the lower levels with their advanced gear, they're going to make it a disadvantage for maxed out players if they don't prestige. So they're really pushing again to the self-wipe, do it yourself, wipe your stuff, get the prestige points. That's how they're trying to entice you. So let's talk about Marauders, and while we do, I'm just going to continue to let all of these questions and answers play by, because I think that there is a vacuum of games that have the infill exfil mechanics, the risk it for the biscuit, bring in your own gear, lose it on the battlefield kind of scenario. I think that game-wise, we went through phases of, for example, we had the Battle Royale phase where everything was about Battle Royales, and I think that came to an end a little while ago, and now everybody's scrambling for the next genre of game. I'm thinking it's going to be games like Marauders, Escape from Tarkov, or even The Cycle, with rumors having it that the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 will have a mode that's much like Escape from Tarkov. And let's not forget Battlefield's sorry excuse with Hazard Zone, where they attempted to make a like Tarkov game mode. I think that Marauders has a bright future ahead of it. I think they've got a lot of exposure. I think this game's going to do well. I do. When I backed it on Fig, I wasn't sure, but I did back it on Fig just because I wanted to put my money where my mouth is and support projects that were similar to Escape from Tarkov. Because while I love Escape from Tarkov, I'm at like 6,000 hours, man. I've beaten the hell out of Escape from Tarkov, and there's not a lot left to do that I haven't already done. And basically, you play it for 2 months, and then it's waiting for content room. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, hit that like button, and tag the subscribe button for more content related to Marauders, Escape from Tarkov, and survival games. I stream most nights on Twitch. You can find my link in the bio below. I'd love to have you hang out with us there. Otherwise, I'm getting out of here, and I'll see you on the next video.